after tonight. You don't have to look up at the stars. No, 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 no.
Come take a look at my dream world.
Tonight. You don't have to look up at the stars.
Chat, if you wanna come get it, then come for it. I'm so clean, my kick's nice, I'm Chuck Norris. Minute made the beat bounce, had to jump on it. Run for it, run, Gump Forrest Gump like hollow pumps, you gotta jump. No trouble, no double, I got a stun. You don't have to look up at the stars. Make one wish, you're looking at a star. Swag so fresh, you can put it in the jar. And the way I change gear, you can put me in the car. I remember when me and Seif used to sneak in every concert door. Now I got my feet in. Every day is Get Friday, no weekend.
You don't have to look up at the stars.
Welcome back, everyone, to your favorite live sports show, not named Stuff About Sports or the Peyton Doyle Show. It is indeed hashtag this just in on a special edition. So sorry for the 2-week break, but we had some logistics to work out. And part of those logistics is bringing you the best cast ever. So let's welcome back Peyton Doyle of the Peyton Doyle Show. It has been way too long.
Yes, it is. I'm so glad that the stars have finally aligned once again. I'm able to come back on this just in. It's been like 2 months, right? Oh my goodness.
At least. We all know Adam because Adam is here to stay. I promised y'all every week would have Adam, and I have delivered on that. Good night, Adam.
What's going on, man? Super glad to be back. Yeah, the hiatus was it was a little odd. I was getting back into the groove, but no worries. As we always say, great show to have a great show. We got the Bandit, we got Peyton Doyle, so we're ready to cut it up tonight. Let's do it.
And we have the Bandit, the president of Bills Mafia. If you can't see him or recognize by now, you should know that is nothing other than Jerm of Stuff About Sports. I should ask you how you're doing, but I think I know how you're doing. What's going on, Jerm?
What's up, man? I'm doing great. I know a lot of people. I wasn't doing good yesterday, but now that I've had a night to sleep and a bottle of alcohol to drink, I'm feeling really good. Clarity, right? What comes after the night after, when you kick her out of bed and you get home and you shower up and you clean, you get clarity. Man, that was a mistake, or man, that was great. That's what I have with the Buffalo Bills, and I can't wait to talk about it.
Well, one of the mistakes that we've been hearing all season maybe is that the Vikings are not true Super Bowl contenders, especially before what we can all deem now as the game of the year. Jerm's Bills were blowing them out, then they weren't blowing them out. Then we had arguably the catch of the century. On top of that, then I think the Vikings should have won. They didn't win, then they won, then the Bills drove and took it into overtime, and then the Vikings eventually won. So I'm going to skip you first, Jerm, because I'm going to come for you for last. I'm going to start with Peyton. These Vikings are 8-1, just beat the Super Bowl favorite Buffalo Bills. Is it time to finally see that the Minnesota Vikings are indeed true Super Bowl contenders?
I would say with the current state of the NFL, yes, absolutely. They are true Super Bowl contenders because there isn't a super dominant team this year in either conference. Every team has a flaw and every team is beatable. And on any given Sunday, the Vikings have proven they can beat anybody. And I get that they've kind of had some luck and some things fall their way late in games that have helped them win these close games. But they are winning these close games. They are an 8-1 football team, and they're in a conference in the NFC, which is not very impressive whatsoever. And I know Justin knows all about that with his Packers, but this is a conference that is wide open for the taking. The Vikings seem to be able to win in close games despite coming out in Buffalo in the snow, by the way, with a rough start. Kirk Cousins has 2 early interceptions early in the game, and then they're able to pull a win on the road against the Super Bowl favorites. That's pretty big deal. So I would say, yes, it is time to say that the Vikings can actually be Super Bowl contenders this year.
Adam, is it time for you now to get on this Minnesota train, or are you not still buying?
Peyton Doyle, I had more faith in you, man. It's been a minute since we've done a show together, and I mean, I hear the claim. I can appreciate that, as we say in real estate, right? But here's the thing with the Vikings. They've won 7 straight one-possession games. The Lions, the Vikings, my Saints, the Commanders, the Cardinals. This is what they do. I know I left some teams out, obviously, the Bills in there as well. I think now they're just 8-1, and they're fooling everybody. Kirk Cousins and Kevin O'Connell, you got to ask yourself, do you trust both of these guys when the time comes? I think Kevin O'Connell answered the call, honestly, last year, having a really high-level offense. We saw what Cooper Kupp and Matthew Stafford did as they went to the Super Bowl, top 8 in all offensive categories outside of rushing. There's clearly more to be desired there. But Kirk Cousins is 10-18 in prime time. Yes, yesterday could have been considered a prime time game for him, which was a big win. Don't get me wrong. But we have to take into account that the Super Bowl is one of the most watched events in the world. And we're going to trust Kirk Cousins the first time in the Super Bowl? Absolutely not. I would say that they are true playoff contenders, but I don't really think they're going to be Super Bowl contenders when it comes down to this. I think they're going to be about a 12 to 14 win team. And if they see the Giants, the Cowboys, or the Niners in the playoffs, I actually don't like any of those matches for Kirk Cousins, maybe outside of the Giants, because I think the Cowboys, we know what that defense is doing, and clearly with the Niners as well. So, man, I just honestly think they're 8-1 right now and fooling everybody. I think they're playoff contenders, but not Super Bowl contenders whatsoever.
Jeremy just lost to them this weekend. So, if anyone, you have what is selling.
So, up until, I guess, the Jets game, who was the number one odds favorite to win the Super Bowl? It's the Buffalo Bills, right? And they're still a top three, in terms of Vegas odds, and that type of stuff will fluctuate throughout the season.
We won't be shocked.
But the Buffalo Bills are indeed Super Bowl contenders, and as Justin just said, the Vikings just beat one of the odds-on favorites to win the Super Bowl. So, by pure math and logic, the Vikings are Super Bowl contenders. Now, I will say this game was weird, right? Like, this game was a microcosm of the Vikings' entire season. As Adam just said, they were 8-1. They were down 24-10, and they came back and won because of some fluke luck that they took advantage of, and that's exactly how they've been winning all season. I'm not gonna just outright count those guys out. Like, right? You can poke holes, just as Peyton was saying, on everybody. The Bills obviously are having flaws. They're in a funk right now. The Chiefs have flaws. The Eagles, the Vikings are their best win, but here we are tearing the Vikings apart. So what have the Eagles done? So nobody, as Peyton was saying, is overwhelming. So that, to me, you're 8-1. I have to at least say that, yes, you can't just discount them because you don't like Kirk Cousins. Or as he has become after this weekend, I keep seeing Kirk Thuggins with all of his ice and chains on. I love it. I am a Kirk Cousins fan. I don't believe that you have to have a certain skill set to lead a team. Aaron Rodgers, Justin's Aaron Rodgers, and Trent Dilfer have the same amount of Super Bowls, which means that there's more than one way to reach the goal. Yeah, Vikings, I can buy. They have what you need. The acquisition of TJ Hawkinson, they have skill players. They can help in the middle. They have a good running game. They have a quarterback that wins them games. Like, you can, his little curse, his primetime curse is what it is, like, whatever. But Kirk Cousins is one of the winningest quarterbacks of the last decade. I mean, check the numbers. You can't argue math. So you may not like his style. He may give you that bad turnover every once in a while, but I would say he's a top half quarterback. And in this league, that's all you really need to go anywhere far.
So I can't believe I'm about to say this about my NFC North rivals, but you are what your record says you are, and you're 8-1. And whether we like the way they're winning games or not, the reality is this is going to come as a surprise. Give me the team that scores or wins one-score games over the team that blows out everyone, and I'll show you what I mean. Jerm knows what I'm about to say. Guess who is leading the league in point differential this season? It's the Buffalo Bills. By 90, they are a plus 99. Guess where the Buffalo Bills are, by the way, folks? They are third in their own division. You know why they're third in their own division? Because over the last 2 years, the Buffalo Bills are 2-9 in one-score games.
Yep.
And yet, somehow, we want to criticize Minnesota for being 7-0 in such games, when last year we tore them down for losing these games. And yes, there are a lot of one-score games. You want them to be dominant. But I'm going to go through the numbers and show you why this Minnesota team has been good. And I agree with Adam. Kirk Cousins is not someone you want to win in prime time with. But the Minnesota Vikings have been finding other ways to win. This team is first in takeaways, second in point differential, or turnover differential, behind the unbeaten Eagles. They're eighth in scoring, and they've only given up 30 points once all season. And that was to the same Buffalo Bills in Orchard Park. They did this on the road. When you look at this roster outside of Kirk Cousins, You have arguably the best receiver in all of football now in Justin Jefferson. You have a great compliment in Adam Thielen. You have TJ Hawkinson. You have Dalvin Cook, a top 10 running back without a shadow of a doubt. And then you look at the defensive side of the football. The most underrated player in all of defense is Darius Smith without a shadow of a doubt. Then you have Daniil Hunter on the other side of him and Harrison Smith. This is a team that is built to win in multiple ways, and that is all Minnesota is showing us that they're doing. Yeah, sure, you would like to see them blow out the bad teams, but Jerm's team is blowing out the bad teams and losing to the good ones in close games. Give me the team that is going to win games regardless. And as any quarterback will tell you, specifically Aaron Rodgers and Josh Allen, winning games in football is hard. And I'm not going to knock a team that wins or finds ways to win every single game. Who hasn't been finding a way to win every single game in every possible way is Jerm's Buffalo Bills, who I just mentioned are 2-9 in the last 2 seasons in one-score games. Josh Allen is actually winless, gentlemen, in 4 overtime games this season. A guy who had previously not turned over the red zone. Jerm, did you know now over the last 2 seasons, Josh Allen has 6 red zone turnovers? I told you I was bringing the stats tonight, Jerm.
Mm-hmm.
You are 6-3, a Super Bowl favorite, but 3rd in your own division. Jerm, should Bills Mafia be concerned about Buffalo?
No, not at all. Josh Allen is not typically this careless. Like you point out those stats, but how many of those games where, he was leading the league in passing yards and touchdowns and he sat out 3 full quarters at the start of the season. So, I mean, we can miscue stats all we want. You shouldn't be worried. Has any of your opinions changed on Josh Allen? Is he not one of the top 3 best quarterbacks in the league? He's in a funk. It happens. We went crazy at the beginning of the season. We have a lot of injuries on defense. I mean, there wasn't anybody less than a 6th rounder out there in the secondary. We're going to get Tre'Davious White back at some point. Jordan Poyer didn't play. We're already down Micah Hyde. So, we were already behind the 8 ball. And, yeah, we're 6-3. People are acting like we're flirting with 500. We lost those 3 games against teams with winning records, right? All 3 teams that beat us have 6 wins or more. The Jets, the Jets are 6-3 as well. Mm-hmm. And so they're not scrubs anymore. Like they've been beating teams. They've been upsetting people all week. They're all season, right? Then the Vikings, who we just gave a bunch of praise to. Yep. And so we lost all into Miami, who everybody is, pole jockeying right now because Tua and this resurgence, even though Miami spent the last 2 years actively trying to replace him, all of a sudden he's their guy now. But anyway, I digress. The Buffalo will be fine. We lost all those games by a combined total of 8 points, and it was because the weather in one and a slow referee not spotting the ball quick enough in the Miami game, and then Josh Allen uncharacteristically fumbling. A bunch of stuff had to go wrong for the Bills to lose that game. Cam Lewis, you got to swat the ball down. It was 4th and 22. You swat the ball down instead of going for the INT, and he's beating him. He's been beating himself up ever since. And then Josh Allen, man, you gotta hold the sneak. I'm not a fan of doing the QB sneak in the goal line anyway, but that's all that's coaching. Sean McDermott, again, getting out-coached when it matters. When his team is struggling, he continues to get out-coached in games where it matters, which is why the Bills should fire him. They should have fired him last year and brought in Sean Payton the moment he became available, or made a run at Mike Tomlin. But they didn't do either. Now we're stuck with him. So So Sean McDermott is going to have to do what he's always done, rely on Josh Allen. The moment Josh Allen gets out of the funk and our defensive players come back, the Bills will be the Bills that were advertised.
Adam, I'm going to ask you the same question. No, the Bills are 3rd in their own division. Should we be concerned?
First of all, I want to be concerned about Jerm actually putting my man, Sean Payton, in a putrid Buffalo blue. So can we just not have that said ever again? Because I will be very pissed if he comes to the Buffalo Bills. I have a whole I have a whole eulogy, whatever you want to read for Sean Payton. I mean, that's how I feel about him currently. But in terms of the Buffalo Bills, I do have to agree with Jerm here. You look at Josh Allen's numbers on the year, 20 touchdowns, 10 picks, 97 passer rating. I want to say he's over 65% completion or damn near it. The only thing that does concern me is the 10 picks in the 9 games this year, but specifically 2 interceptions in each of his last 3 games, which gives you 6 picks in that span. But that there does kind of show you, with the high touchdown amount, with being in the tops of the league with passing yards, that Josh Allen is just kind of currently in a funk. You talk about the injuries as well. They are running the football well, 8th in the league, which is nice to see, but are they still going to be too Josh Allen dependent in certain moments, to obviously be able to reach their potential? But when you talk about the fact of Josh Allen being in a slump, we've said this about Mahomes before. Oh God, people are playing man. People are moving around and playing zone. And now Patrick Mahomes has thrown 25 touchdown passes, which I could not even believe at this point in the season. Kudos to Josh Allen. He's number 2 with 20. So clearly his game is just a little off at the moment. I have the Bills going 13-4 this year, and music to your ears, Jerm. I only have losing to New England once in that entire span. I think y'all will go 13-4, be able to recover well. And really, I think no matter where y'all fall in the division, y'all are going to be the Buffalo Bills as advertised, like you said. I don't feel differently about Josh Allen. I don't, think that the Bills are now knocked out of the contention because they lost to the Jets, a pretty good team in the Vikings, who now we're here praising. So I got to agree with you, Jerm. They're definitely in just a tad bit of a slump. And don't you talk about Sean Payton again. I wasn't kidding either.
And any pushback there, Payton?
Not really, no, because I am concerned with the Bills and how they play in close games. Like you said, they're 2-9 over the last 2 years. Yeah. It is rough. And I do think part of that isn't necessarily on Josh Allen. I think it's because of their inability to provide a reliable running game with Devin Singletary and the running backs there. So that's a little bit of a concern for me. But this is also a team in Buffalo that over the last 2 years, you saw the Hail Murray 2 years ago, and then that all of a sudden sparked the Bills to have a great run in the second half of the year. Last year, they got embarrassed against the Colts, and then that sparked the Bills to have a great second half of the year. I'm not ready to panic on the Bills just yet because of a slump. If you're going to have a slump, you want to have it in late October and early November and not in December and January.
I am still upset and disappointed at Jerm for not bringing up some stuff and not showing a level more concern and putting on all Buffalo stuff on my show. Because here's the more concerning stuff. Did y'all gentlemen know that the Buffalo Bills have not had a second half touchdown now in 3 straight games? Their last second half touchdown is dating back to week 7, I want to say, against the Kansas City Chiefs. That is right, gentlemen. I'm not here exaggerating. 3 straight weeks, including against my putrid Packers, the Buffalo Bills have not scored a second half touchdown. Why is that concerning, gentlemen? Because, as I pointed out over and over again, this inability to consistently rely on the running game, as Payton mentioned, is going to be this team's downfall. You were up 17 against Vikings. You should be able to hand that off and put that and ice that game away. But everyone has fallen in love with the right arm of Josh Allen, from Josh Allen to Sean McDermott, who, as Jerm rightly said, does not deserve a job in this league, but we will get to that very shortly. This team, talent-wise, is going to make a run in the playoffs. There's no ifs, ands, and buts. But you are going to continually find yourself losing these one-score games simply because when you're up big or you need to ice the clock, you cannot run the football. Imagine you're up 17 at home, and some way, somehow, the Minnesota Vikings find a way to get all the way back. Why is that the case, Jerm? Because you cannot control the clock. And the minute that you focus on Josh Allen and ask him to do too much, this is what happens. It's over and over and over again. And I don't know if it's Sean McDermott. I don't know if it's Josh Allen thinking he has to do everything. Or I don't know if your offensive line is really just that bad at run blocking. But this is going to be a problem because it's just going to get colder and colder. And you're going to ask this team to beat good teams because they're not facing bad teams. And who'd have thought that the Jets is in this category of good teams? Hey.
Listen, after 5 long, boring minutes, Justin, you sitting there trying to bring the world down on my Buffalo Bills. Let me tell you, guess who's a top 5 team in points scored in the league? The Buffalo Bills. Still. Who's the number 1 defense in the league? Still the Buffalo Bills. Who has the number 1 net rating in all the league, including point differential? The Buffalo Bills. Bad breaks, unhealthiness, no Micah Hyde, who's out for the season, who could come back for the playoffs. No Tre'Davious White, who we activated 3 weeks ago, and Sean McDummy still hasn't given us a valid reason to why he's not playing. You just traded at the 11th hour for Nyheim Hines, who's better than any running back you've had, and you played him for a total of 9 snaps since the trade deadline. While TJ Hockenson, who was acquired literally 5 minutes before Nyheim Hines was acquired, has had 19 total targets in 2 games. Coaching. Ken Dorsey, I'm looking at you. We ran play action only 18% of that game and did not run it in the second half. When we did run it in the first half, Josh Allen was 8 for 9 for 99 yards. This is a coaching problem. We have the lead. Sean McDermott is too conservative to win us a Super Bowl. He takes points when you don't need them, and then when we actually do need to take the points, he takes unnecessary risks to overcompensate for his bad decision-making. That's Sean McDermott in a nutshell. He reminds me of Brett Brown from my Philadelphia 76ers. It's the closest comparison I have. You are the perfect guy to bring a struggling, moribund franchise out of the gutter and teach us culture, teach us things. Show us that there's such thing as a salad fork and a dinner fork. Wow, I've never seen that before. Thanks. But now it's over. Now it's big boy time. And now we need a guy who can actually teach us to win a Super Bowl, a guy who's done it before, a guy who's won before. Yep. And that's Sean Payton, Adam Lewis. Sean Payton, Mr. Bounty Gate. No. Bring him. Bring it on. And it's only because he's available. McDermott, it gets camouflaged by Josh Allen's excellence way too much. But as I've said earlier, as we saw last year in the divisional game, as we keep seeing in all these games where the Bills have leads and we can't figure out what's happening in the second half, these are all coaching decisions. These aren't personnel decisions. The offensive line was fine. Again, we were missing Greg Rousseau, so then Von Miller had to shift to a different position to cover up that. We were missing Tremaine Edmonds for half of that game. Jordan Poyer wasn't playing. Again, you have DeMar Hamlin and all these guys, Taron Johnson, like all these guys who are 6th, 7th rounders asking to cover Justin Jefferson. It's tough. So the only weakness the Bills have is health. Once we get healthy, you'll see the Bills be who they're supposed to be.
Hey, welcome to my world. The Saints are injured to hell, bro. So I don't want to hear anything. You've still won 6 games. Find a way.
Yeah, but nobody's expecting anything of this. Nobody's expecting anything of the Saints. They're out of here.
I don't know. You run the tape back in preseason. A lot of people were more hyped than I was. I said, oh, hold on, man. We got Mr. 30 for 30 up there. Quick question for you, though, Jerm. Honestly, why do y'all not use James Cook well? Because he was a monster at Georgia. I was so happy when y'all drafted him. I was like, Devin Singletary, got a nice backup in James Cook. And again, y'all are 8th in the league in rushing, so I totally respect it. But, like, what is going on with the actual usage of him?
And don't let that 8th in the league in rushing thing fool you. A lot of those are Josh Allen's yards. Those are Josh Allen's. We don't run the ball well. That's why we traded for Nyheim Hines, which is another part of my frustration why we don't use him.
Right.
I
mean, that's a solid he's running a rookie. Back room, you know?
It is. James Cook, the only answer I can have for you is that he's a rookie and he has to just earn it. And you know, he gets his first carry, he fumbles it. You know, that's hard to recover from as a rookie. Right. Your leash is a lot shorter. Maybe some of these run assignments, he's not hitting the right gaps. Maybe he's not running the right routes. Again, this could just be Sean McDermott's incompetence. I don't have a really good answer other than he's a rookie and some of the opportunities he's gotten. He's had some wacky fumbles. He's had some bad, decisions running backwards, things of that nature. Right. So I could just probably chalk it up to just he's a rookie and that's that. And McDermott does have a problem with loyalty, right? Singletary's his guy. Like he had this problem a couple years ago with Steve Hauschka, who kept missing field goals, and we were begging him to replace him, and he just waited a year too late, and he ended up replacing him anyway, and he's just stuck with him for no reason. So McDermott, like I said, he's a good dude. The bald clapper, I call him. He'll clap for anything. It don't matter. Hey, you have cancer? It's okay. It's all right. You'll get through it. Like that's how he's that guy, and I'm sick of the bald clapper. Get him out of here.
So from one team that can't run the football to another team who figured out that they should be running the football, the Green Bay Packers finally snapped a 5-game losing streak by, guess what, guys? Giving Aaron Jones and A.J. Dillon the ball, which I said that they should have been doing from the start of the season, to the tune of 37 carries to Aaron Rodgers actually only throwing the football 20 times. But they're only still 4-6, so Peyton Doyle, should the Packers, considering they're so far out of first place in the NFC North, consider, I don't know, looking at Jordan Love and benching Aaron Rodgers for the rest of the season?
No, because if Jordan Love was actually a good quarterback, he would have already been playing by now, and Aaron Rodgers would be playing in a different uniform. That's the fact of the matter. Jordan Love is not a good quarterback. No, we don't need to see Jordan Love play. He's bad. And the Packers know that they made a mistake. That's why they that's why they extended Aaron Rodgers. That's why he's still there. And also, there's no need to do that when I get that they're 4-6 and I get that they've struggled in the first half of the year. They just had a great win, a great come from behind win. I mean, I think I saw a stat. Dallas was 185-0 in their franchise history, went up by 14 plus points going into the fourth quarter. That changed this Sunday when the Packers came back and won after coming back from that 14-point deficit. Now, why would you say it's time to just put in Jordan Love, who we all know is bad at playing quarterback, to ruin the season? You could still grab a wild card. You still have Aaron Rodgers, who still gives you a shot. Christian Watson just had a great game. For the first time, it looks like they might actually have a reliable option, and Aaron Rodgers might be building trust with someone at wide receiver who's not Davante Adams now. So this Sunday was a hopeful point for the Packers. This is a maybe they can actually make the playoffs. I get that we don't really have any faith in them to win a playoff game because even when they were good in the regular season, they couldn't do so. But you have to play to win games. You have a veteran to win Super Bowls. And unless they're looking at getting rid of Aaron Rodgers or hoping that he retires this offseason, there's no point in playing Jordan Love because he's not your future regardless.
So, okay, Neil, run the credits. That's it. He's speaking the truth. Jordan Love is bad. Thank you, everyone, for tuning in. This is indeed #ThisJustin. Yeah, I'm joking. We have more shows. So, yeah, indeed, I don't know how you follow what that kid said, but yeah. Should the Packers continue with Aaron Rodgers or see what they have with Jordan Love after wasting a first-round pick on him 2 seasons ago?
You coming my way, Justin? Making sure I heard you right.
Your way, yes.
All right, cool, man. Yeah. I mean, Peyton really said it perfectly. I mean, from the playing in the uniform to clearly he's bad and he can't play. I think the only reason you would start Jordan Love right now would be for the sake of gaining potential trade capital. And I'll ironically relate it back to my team, the Saints, so I don't have anything to talk about with them this year. You remember when the rumors came out that the Saints were potentially going to trade Alvin Kamara? What happened in that Raiders game when we shut them out? Alvin Kamara absolutely went off, scored 3 touchdowns. I think at that moment, they were putting Kamara on display a little more, not even a little more, a lot more in that game to say, hey, this is what you can get if you come our way because this is what we want. Ironically, they come out right after that game, shutting out the Raiders 24-0, saying, hey, we're not even entertaining Kamara, which I think was false, but that's another story. You could do the same thing here with Jordan Love, even if he just plays a couple of snaps, or not even a couple of snaps, even if he just plays a couple of games. You bring him in, you try to expose him for what he might or might not be worth, more than likely not worth, and try to get some sort of trade capital out of him. Because like Peyton said, we do know that Jordan Love cannot truthfully play football right now, or really if he'll ever be able to, at least in a Packers uniform. Unfortunately for Green Bay, though, you are in a difficult situation because you're paying your quarterback $50 million a year over the next 4 years, but I don't see you winning more than 8 games this season because of how you started out. Look at the schedule. I only see 3 more wins in these coming weeks. You got Tennessee, which is a rebound game, the Rams, and then the Lions. Everything else, I feel bad for them at this moment, but I just don't see it panning out. So
we all have the Bears. Don't forget the Bears. We still have the Bears.
Oh, the Bears too. Yeah. So I think, what is that? 9-8. Then I might have had the records a little mixed up there. 9-8 though. I don't know, man. I really don't, because those numbers just kind of threw me off because the NFC is so rough, but maybe they could recover and make the playoffs. But either way, no matter how you spin it, Jordan Love does not deserve a spot for the Packers because, again, he's been with them for a while. They kind of told on themselves when they had to pay Aaron Rodgers that much. Yes, he was a back-to-back MVP, but what the hell had he done for the actual longevity of the team? Championships. We had the appearances where the championships or even the Super Bowl appearances. So yeah, you're not bringing Jordan Love into this equation. Not at all.
Like, do we even have to ask you, Jerm, or are you actually going to tell me that we should start Jordan Love going forward?
No, I mean, the only reason you would start Jordan Love is that the season's over and you just want to preserve Aaron Rodgers' body because of his advanced age. You got him on the hook for another season of $50 million. Like, what are you playing for? You know what I mean? You don't want to be 8-8. You know, you either want to be the worst team in the league or the best team in the league because then it doesn't help you draft position wise. And then maybe you want to build a stock up. Maybe a team like the Raiders who are going to move on from Derek Carr seemingly.
Yep.
Maybe they, the Bills got rid of Nathan Peterman, so the Packers can get rid of Jordan Love. So it could happen. So the only reason you would do it is that you're truly out of it, and you want to raise his stock up a little bit, and you can maybe recoup a 7th round pick for him or a 6th round something, rather than just having him on the roster and then cutting him to replace him anyway. So that would be the only logic that I would see to starting him. That was just me trying to be objective, but realistically, no, that there's really no reason. That's Aaron Rodgers up there, dog.
Right.
Well, this segment is going to be shorter than they thought because they thought it'd actually have pushback. But like y'all said, I mean, technically we're only a game and a half out of the last playoff spot. So maybe, no, we're not going to make the playoffs, but technically we're still in it. And there are winnable games against Chicago, against Detroit, even though we already lost to them. Tennessee at home on Thursday night, and I'm missing one more, and these bad LA Rams. But the real reason, like Peyton already said, I think management realizes what they don't have in Jordan Love, or you would not pay a 37, 38-year-old quarterback 4 years and $50 million per. And on top of that, so sorry, gentlemen, you can't even move on from Aaron Rodgers next season because he's not going to retire because he has $58.3 million guaranteed in a roster bonus. And to cut him or trade him, I think you are looking at a ridiculous salary, a dead hit in terms of salary cap. Like, Aaron Rodgers is here for at least another season. I don't know what you do with Jordan Love because I think they have to make a decision this offseason as it pertains to his 5th year. You're going to have to make a decision, and, well, I didn't put myself in that situation because I didn't draft him. But speaking of comebacks, because the Green Bay Packers snapped a 5-game winning streak, would you believe, gentlemen, that Tom Brady is 2-0 since getting the divorce? I don't know what that says about marriage, but Tom Brady's here to tell you, probably don't do it. The Tampa Bay Buccaneers are 2-0 now, Adam. I'm sorry, I'm going to make you talk about your hated division rivals. But are the Buccaneers finally back?
You know, I was looking at how things had played out for them, and I want to say that they're 5-5 now heading into the bye week, correct?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
So 5-5 heading into the bye week. And we've seen, and obviously this is not going to be the Super Bowl year for the Bucs, but we've seen them go into the bye week, and we've seen Brady especially. We know he leads his teams very well. They walk into the bye week, whether they're doing great or not. It seems like they do always improve. They're more mentally tapped in. It shows on paper. It shows on film that these guys are overall playing better after they come out of a bye week. If you take a look at the schedule, I have it pulled up. If I can get so you got the Browns, my Saints, the Niners, the Bengals, the Cardinals, the Panthers, and the Falcons. The only true loss I could see on that schedule is either from the Niners or the Bengals. Outside of that, I only have Tampa Bay losing, I only have them losing one of those games going through the rest of the year, as much as I hate to admit that. Like you guys said, Brady has a divorce behind him now, so he's clearly more focused. It's kind of really just adding to his legacy and his story, if you ask me. They're going to figure out some great way to spin it for his career. But I would say the Buccaneers, I don't know if they're back, but they are on the radar. So I guess they're back on the radar. But are we putting them in Super Bowl conversations? Are we actually thinking that they're going to hoist the trophy? That is yet to be seen, because Brady was clearly going through a lot. And we know when things are going on, going on, in your personal life, it kind of ripples into everything else. And I think that was the biggest thing for these guys. So I would say that they're back on the radar. In the next few weeks are definitely going to see or going to determine how things play out for them this season.
So now, Peyton, that you've realized that marriage may not all be what it's cracked up to be, do you believe that the Tampa Bay
Gina,
Buccaneers...
know you said that, Justin?
I'm joking. My wife knows. Here.
Are the Bucs back? I don't know, but I can say this. What is going to be huge for them is if Rachaad White keeps running the ball the way he did last Sunday. The Buccaneers last year had a way better running offense than they do this year. This year, they only had, prior to this Sunday, they only had one game of over 100 yards rushing. When you have a quarterback who is aging and is 45 years old, you need to be able to run the football. You need to be able to control the clock, and that's how you win close games, which is why the Buffalo Bills struggle in close games. Sorry, Jerm. But that's what it comes down to. Can they run the ball, and can Tom Brady still make the plays when he has to do it? Over the last 2 weeks, it looks like the answer is yes. I'm not going to say that the Bucs are back in terms of like they're Super Bowl contenders. They're going to be world beaters. But I would say they're back in terms of they're a respectable team that is not going to go and lose to PJ Walker and the Panthers on any more Sundays. That's not going to happen.
Under that Buffalo stuff somewhere under there, do you believe that Tampa Bay and Tom Brady are about to contend again?
Yeah, man. Tampa Bay is bike. Let me tell you, man. Listen, Giselle, same old box. Kids, listen, sorry. We got jerseys to sell, all right? Let me tell you, through all the problems, all the issues, they're behind us now. The problem, as they were saying, running game, Leonard Fournette had his most yards since like week 3 in this last game. No coincidence that they won. Even up until then, the Tampa Bay Buccaneers were 4th in overall off in points scored. So it wasn't like they were just not scoring points. They just weren't winning games. Like they're just one of those weird, funky things. Or their defense, I'm sorry, they weren't scoring points. Their defense was stopping people. The offense wasn't scoring. And now because they didn't have a run game, and now you can lock, which is the Bills' problems, then you can lock some of these receivers up. And they've had injuries and little bang-ups with receivers, and then, like Peyton was saying, a little turmoil at the house. But now all that's gone, buddy. All right? It's over. Tom Brady's back. Get Tom Brady in the playoffs. They're 4th in the NFC right now. They're winning the division. Get into the playoffs, and I'm not going to doubt Tom Brady. Listen, I care about you guys. Don't do it. Tom Brady has, 7 rings? You're going to count that guy out? I don't care what the circumstances are. I don't care how old he is. I don't care what's going on. Tom Brady has earned the benefit of the doubt 7 times over from me. And that is coming from a Bills fan because I watched him kick our ass all those years. I will never count Tom Brady out. If he has a chance, that's all he needs.
I do know if Tom isn't back, that defense certainly is. And it was puzzling to see them struggle early on in the season. But my word, I think against Seattle and the LA Rams, everyone's beating Rams, but they gave up a combined 29 points over the last 2 weeks, 16 and 13 respectively against those teams. So even if that offense is never going to get back to what they were in the Super Bowl winning era, if you want to call it that, the defense certainly looks good again. And if the defense is playing well, and as Jerm just said, Tom Brady under center, can you really count them out? Like, I don't know. But talking about counting out things, whew, what a tumultuous last week we had in terms of hires because, gentlemen, the Indianapolis Colts not only shocked us by getting rid of Frank Wright, but they hired a guy we did not see coming in longtime center Jeff Saturday. Mm-hmm. So, Payne, I'm going to start with you this time. Considering the backlash, considering that Jeff Saturday has never coached high school, college, or NFL football, was it right for Irsay to give his drinking buddy the Indianapolis Colts job for the rest of the year?
I will. Right or wrong is a hard question to answer because there were a lot of guys in that Indianapolis Colts organization that I'm sure were extremely upset and extremely frustrated that, Jeff Saturday comes in. He like you said, he had a losing record in high school as a head coach, never coached a game in college, never coached a game in the NFL, and now he's the head coach of the team. Even if it's just an interim job, people have been waiting their whole lives for opportunities to do this. Jeff Saturday already had opportunities in broadcasting and elsewhere other than coaching. And now you're to their whole lives to work up the ranks in terms of coaching and get a head coaching job in the NFL and get a chance to show what they're all about. But Jeff Saturday did a pretty good job last Sunday. And I get that it was against the Raiders that were awful. But for a guy that, like we said, doesn't have very much experience, actually he has no experience whatsoever. He came in and the They had a season high in totals of rushing for the Colts in terms of how they did on the ground. Jonathan Taylor looked like he was actually useful and effective again. The offensive line looked like it was actually somewhat decent and somewhat viable and worked like it didn't throughout the entire season. So was it right or wrong? I don't know. But was it a mistake? I don't know if it was a mistake just yet.
Damn, give us an answer, Peyton.
Nah, I like to tip around the answer, bro. Right or wrong. I can't answer right or wrong. I will never ever be able to answer right or wrong. Never.
Yeah.
Good job staying on that fence, Peyton. That's why we brought you here. Adam, did Jeff Saturday deserve this job?
You know, now that I go to answer it, I get exactly where Peyton's coming from, because you look at the season, right? And I've been talking about this with some close family of mine. The Colts are literally blindfolded right now, and they have been spun around 50 times, and they're trying to hit a pinata that's not there. This is how absolutely horrible this franchise looks. You know, you make the trade for Matt Ryan, which made me really, really excited. I get it. The season's not going as well as you want it to, but clearly between Matt Ryan and the way that this entire team was playing is why your head coach just got fired. Things were playing out the way that they were. As soon as they started Sam Ehlinger, I was like, oh God. I was like, these guys have lost it, you know, because outside of the one game at Texas where Sam Ehlinger exposed the Bulldogs, which because they were pissed because they lost in the championship game, that's the only reason Sam Ehlinger got a little bit of looks. He was still a very late round quarterback. We clearly saw he got sacked, 9 times in his debut last week. Great on the win. Love the win for Jeff Saturday. But I say all this to say they had to do something comfortable, right? We know who Jeff Saturday is. He's an amazing center who played with Peyton Manning. He clearly is a champion. He clearly played for the Indianapolis Colts. So it was, I don't know if it was so much of deserving for Jeff Saturday as it was that the Colts just had to do something comfortable this year. I mean, good God, it's been such a stressful season, right? But this does seem to be on par in a way with the insanity of how this team has been this year. Peyton, only because I don't want to leave you hanging out to dry, man, I do want to say from this article, Jeff Saturday was 20-16 in his 3 seasons. He coached at like a Christian academy, ironically, here in Georgia. But again, no college games, no NFL games. But I'll say all that to say they had to do something comfortable, right? I mean, uncomfortable with Matt Ryan, uncomfortable with Sam Ehlinger, didn't even mention that they fired Frank Reich, and then now, okay, here we go with hiring Jeff Saturday. So I don't know if they're going to tear it down to the studs. I don't know what to expect from the Colts because I had very high hopes for them. I had been saying Matt Ryan to them for seasons. So now we sit back and wait, kind of like with my Saints.
Bring the heat, Jerm, because I know where you're going with this. Is Jim wrong for giving his drinking buddy this interim head coach job?
Hell no. Let me tell you something. If you're in a position to stunt, but Granddaddy Edwards always said, when you have the opportunity to stunt, you stunt. If I come up in the world and I get on ESPN radio or Fox Sports radio, guess who's coming with me? You guys. Damn right. Of course it's not wrong. They had no other play callers on that coaching staff. Blame Jim Irsay from the beginning. You gave everything to Frank Reich. And what did Frank Reich do? Did he delegate his responsibility? No. He put it all on his plate. And that's why he lost his job. So Jeff Saturday, another thing people are forgetting, not only is he a legendary Colt, he's been working with that team as an ambassador. He's come to their training camps. He has coached these players before. He helps them out all the time. There's a familiarity with that. So you don't have any other person on that staff that you trust to call plays. The season is undoubtedly lost. And what do? You bring in Jeff Saturday. What happens? Jonathan Taylor's Jonathan Taylor again. Matt Ryan, Hall of Very Good, busting out a 39-yard run. That was the most impressive thing of the weekend. Not Diggs or Justin Jefferson's catch. None of these magnificent things that have happened over this weekend. It was Matt Ryan, the bones of Matt Ryan running for 39 yards. Because Jeff Saturday is a former player. He knows how to galvanize a team that had super high expectations and came crashing down to earth embarrassingly. What do? Who are you going to bring in? You can't bring in the offensive coordinator that's been there, that's been trashing the team, not the defensive coordinator who's already given up plays. We've already seen that recipe not work before, right? It's not working in Carolina. That's what they did. They just promoted some coordinator and they still suck. So what do? You swing for the fences. You go with the comfortable hire. Hey, Jeff, me and you have been talking by the bonfire about you coaching one day. Hey, listen, we ain't winning nothing. How about you come in and get some reps in as a coach and see how you like it? And then if you start winning six out of your last 8 games, hey, we'll talk about removing that interim tag. But he's only the interim coach. Maybe this is just a fun thing for them to do, and he'll go back to ESPN next year. But he's giving his buddy some coaching experience in the NFL when it doesn't matter. Now they start winning games. Hey, maybe, it's a win-win for Jim Irsay. So if not, he helps his buddy out. And then if they win, they win. But I have no problem with it. If you have the opportunity to give your friend a job, you're going to give your friend a job. Everybody would do it. That's why I laughed when everybody was like, oh, this is so disrespectful. This is this is that. There's context to some of this stuff. And to me, Jim Irsay giving his friend a job is not a big deal.
Comfortable move.
Yeah, comfortable. Yeah.
It's horrible, dude. It's so bad.
I'm glad that you said to bring context, because I'm about to bring context now. So I'm going to declare my hand early and say I am one of Jeff Saturday's biggest fans. I am a Jeff Saturday. I am a Jeff Saturday apologist. So initially, right, from the perspective especially of minority coaches in this league, it is bad in that regard because somebody like Byron Leftwich and or Eric Bieniemy that we keep continue throwing out there, they are told all these reasons why they can't get jobs. And these are guys who have fought hard. They have played collegiate football. They have played at the NFL level, both of them. They have then gone back, coached collegiately, coached at the NFL level, and can't get a job. So I feel for the minority coaches in this regard because they keep being told, the goalpost keeps moving, and they're told why they can't get jobs. But here's why I don't feel any way bad at all for Jeff Saturday getting a job, because Peyton, here's where I'm going to push back now. This notion that coaches in the NFL work hard other than minority coaches to get where they are is absolute hogwash. And Marsha, I hope you're in the chat to hear my stats because I researched this one. Because this is the one topic. Y'all thought it was the Packers I was coming for. This was the topic I was coming for because the biggest travesty in the entire NFL is the coaching ranks. Gentlemen, you made mention of it there, Jerm. There is no bigger set of nepotism in the NFL than the NFL coaching ranks. Let's start with the first stat. Of the 32 head coaches in the league, 10 of them, almost a third, are either the son, the father, or some sort of relative to a former head coach or current head coach. I say that to say these coaches do not earn crap. All of them come in through the back door for family. And you may say, no, that's just 10 of 32. Hold my beer, there's more. 63 total coaches in the entire football league are related either biologically or through marriage. 63 of them. 53 of those 63 are white men. You are not working hard to get a job in the NFL. Your father, brother-in-law, or brother is handing you a job. So don't come and tell me. I hate the fact that these assistant coaches have the nerve to come and say that they work so hard to get these jobs. You did not work hard. You were gifted a job through the privilege that you have for family. I'm going to take it even further. Let's go in New England. What jobs did the two Belichick boys, Stephen and what's the other one? Stephen and Brian. How hard did they work to get their jobs? Or is it that their father is the head coach? What happened to those two Carroll boys that were coaching in Seattle? How did they get their jobs? Oh, guess what? Your daddy is a head coach. Let's keep going on. Rex Ryan, who had the world to say on Get Up. Who's your father? The legendary Buddy Ryan. That's how you got your jobs, along with your brother Rob Ryan. We can go on. Brian Schottenheimer, that was the assistant coach or the offensive coordinator in Seattle. Who's your dad? Marty Schottenheimer from the Kansas City Chiefs. This is on. Go ahead, Jeremy. You want to chime in.
Yeah, I took my stuff off because I wanted to say this seriously. So I hear what you're saying, and I think what you're saying is generally correct. However, and this is a Jeff Saturday topic, and in Jeff Saturday's case,
No,
he got the job because
I'm
his friend.
hold on, I'm not done here, Jerm. So
Okay.
if you're going to tell me, right, and that's what I'm telling you, I have no problem with Jeff Saturday getting a job, because the difference between Jeff Saturday and these guys, Jeff Saturday played football at a high level. Jeff Saturday is a guy who was in a locker room for 14 seasons. All but 2 of them, gentlemen, he made the postseason. All but 2 of those 14 years, and half of that career he spent in the Pro Bowl. I'd rather, if you're going to give a friend a job, that it be that guy who plays football, and not Josh McDaniels or Sean McDermott, or who's the loser up there in LA? What's his name again? Please, someone help me.
Which LA? The Chargers? Staley and McVay.
Brandon Staley. This is just one huge friends and family plan that the NFL right under. It's crazy. Like when you,
But Justin, isn't that's all of America, right? Like, how many times have we gotten a friend a job because we have the in? When people,
I'm gonna finish this up shortly.
Okay.
And that's the problem I don't have with Jeff Saturday. I have no problem with Jeff Saturday getting a job, because at least he's a friend that is qualified. When you look at all of these coaches that get it, let's go to the recent situation. Mike Shanahan, who's actually a good coach, brought his son into the league, Kyle Shanahan. And Kyle Shanahan said, hey, Dad, can I bring my best friends into the league? So I bring Sean McVay and Robert Saleh into the league. And guess what? They become head coaches. Robert Saleh said, hey, I have a best friend in college too. Let's bring Matt LaFleur into this job. Hey, he becomes a head coach. And guess what? Matt LaFleur says, I got a baby brother in Mike LaFleur. Hey, Robert Saleh, give him a job. And guess who's eventually going to get a head coaching job? Mike LaFleur. Like, when you look at then these coaches who are all incompetent, and we blame them for relying on analytics. Why do you think they rely on analytics, gentlemen? Because they don't know what they're doing. So they need analytics to justify the nonsense that they do, because they're not good. At least with Jeff Saturday, I know he's a guy. I'll ask you a question. Who would you rather coach you right now? If I'm supposed to ask you to train you football, would you take Josh McDaniels or would you take Jeff Saturday? You're going to take Jeff Saturday, because I know and you know that for 14 years he spent in the NFL locker room, half of which at the Pro Bowl level. Jeff Saturday knows what the hell he is doing. Give me Jeff Saturday before you give me Sean McDermott, before you give me Josh McDaniels, before you give me all of these non-players who do not know what the hell they are doing. Yes, I would love to see Eric Bieniemy get a head coaching job. Love to see Byron Leftwich get a head coaching job. But if you're not going to give those 2 guys, I have no problem with Jeff Saturday, because all of these other coaches are let me not forget the last year of Mike Zimmer. Mike Zimmer, who calls the defensive plays, still said, I wanted a defensive, coordinator. He had a black coach who's coached, 20 years in the NFL and about another 20 in college. He gave that defensive coordinator job and split it in half and gave him, and guess who got the other half of the job? His son, Adam Zimmer. This place is ripe with nepotism. So if you're going to give a friend a job, give a friend a job that knows how to damn well play football, and not these clueless coaches that have not an idea. So, Jerm, I'm not knocking the Jeff Saturday hire. I'm actually using all of this to support Jeff Saturday getting a job, because all these other coaches that claim they worked so hard, how the hell have you worked hard when your daddy or your brother or your brother-in-law is just gift wrapping you jobs? What, was it so hard as a kid that you had to waste your Saturday mornings when the rest of us had to be watching Power Rangers and Barney, and you miss your Saturday morning cartoons to have to go and watch your dad coach a job, which you are eventually going to get by meeting the owner? Oh no, how hard, I feel so badly for you that you gave up your Saturday mornings to meet your future employer. Such utter bullshit. None of them have worked hard to get anywhere where they are. They have all been gift wrapped jobs. And it is hurtful for the Rex Rans and the Schottenheimers to actually have the gall, the temerity to come out as, hey, you have worked hard. And 63 of you 63 of you are related either biologically or through marriage. You can go ahead, no, Jerm.
No, so I was not following well at the beginning there because I did see a lot of race, stuff when it came to this hire, and I couldn't find it because, again, like you said, things are relationships here. Yeah, I'm not surprised that a bunch of sons and fathers and in-laws are coaching in the NFL. That's just how it goes. Like, yeah, maybe the teams, a bunch of the owners are white. There's what, one minority owner, two now. So this is just the way these things are going to skew. Jeff Saturday's situation is different because I did see the race portion of it. Like, oh, how come a black coach couldn't get? First off, I don't want a black person to have this job. This is an awful job. So what was Jim Irsay going to do? Set a black coach up to fail and then what? Replace him with a white guy later? Like, there was no cool way to do it. But I thought I like how you circled back to it because I thought you were going the other way with it, but it was some of the stuff that I saw in terms of race. Yeah, there's some issues with race. But the only thing I took away is maybe some black guys need to make friends with white coaches so they can get this little nepotism friendly discount in some of these NFL things because this is just the way it's going to go. White owners, people gravitate to people that look like them. You're gonna get white coaches because you're an old white guy who owns an NFL team, and that's who you trust. And that's unfortunate, but that's also reality.
I just, as I said, have a problem forgetting race. I have a problem with coaches telling me they work so hard when reality is your daddy brings you to work on Saturday, and then the owner says, "Oh, that's your son. Oh, we have a job for him in the future. Don't worry about that."
Well, LaFleur has a hard job because he has to deal with Aaron Rodgers and all of his toad licking and things and going to the Adirondack Mountains and all that nonsense.
How did LaFleur get the job, though? LaFleur just happened to ride Robert Saleh's coattail because, well, he's a friend of a former coach's son. Worked really hard to get that job, didn't he? Speaking of coaches who don't deserve a job, well, the LA Raiders, after somehow adding Davante Adams and Chandler Jones, are 2-7. Who saw that coming? So, Adam, what is actually going on in Sin City, Las Vegas?
Yeah, man, when I take a look at everything, you take a look at last season and how much everything happened in general. I don't even have to go back and quote the meme of basically how every first-round pick since 2017 has either been cut or they don't play for them anymore. So bad ownership. I think they're just still kind of working out the kinks. It's bad ownership. It's not very great coaching. It's obviously not very great football. Just going through so much with Henry Ruggs last year. They lose, I forget the other corner, like showing guns on social or something. They lose him too, so there's just a lot of noise around this franchise. Then you got your best player in Davante Adams coming out and basically saying, if you're only going to target me when I'm singled, then I shouldn't be here. You knew what it was when you brought me in. You know that I'm ready to go. You know that I'm liable for 10 plus touchdowns every year that I've played outside of the 1 year that I had the really bad turf toe injury. And if that's the case and you throw to me when I'm singled, I'm going to get 4 targets a year. I am Davante Adams. And the fact that he had to grow to that frustration to say that about his team, I think that's a reflection on coaching and Derek Carr, because who's throwing you the ball? Obviously the quarterback. Who's calling those plays? Obviously your coach. Who made that aggressive trade? Obviously the team for Davante Adams to come over. And it's just so unfortunate because you see the Tyreek Hills out here. For God's sake, you even see the MVSs and the Juju Smith-Schusters with Kansas City out here actually getting nice roles. And then you've got Davante Adams, who has arguably been the best receiver in the league for the last how many ever years we want to look at it. The numbers show it, and so does the eye test. But it is really tough right now. There's a lot of noise. There's a lot of just unbuttoned up things going on right now in Vegas. And I mean, it's going to take time. You're going to have to work it out. But I mean, that's what you hold on for. I guess that's the true test of fandom, right? So it doesn't shan. I did say Davante Adams and Derek Carr would be the best wide receiver quarterback duo coming into this year. Was clearly wrong. Did not see 2-7. So it's tough, dude. It's really tough.
By now, we all should have seen that emotional speech from Derek Carr saying what guys, or some guys, do just to practice and go to sleep. Don't know if that is a lock or attack on the locker room. So, Peyton Doyle, what has really gone wrong with the Raiders?
The fact that the Raiders are just not very good. They're just like what's gone wrong with the Raiders is that they suck. They're not very good. And in almost any which way you draw it up. Yeah, I get they made some great offseason acquisitions, but they don't have the coach to put it all together. Josh McDaniels is not able to put it all together, and because of that, they're not going to succeed. And they have to get rid of him. I don't know how you go out, you lose to the Colts, who you have Jeff Saturday on like 4 days of work, and he beats you. And
after saying publicly that
the Raiders suck. Yeah. And he just proved it on Sunday. So, and now you have Mark Davis coming out and supporting Josh McDaniels again now, and he's like doubling down. And I'm like, no, like you need to, as ownership, you need to realize, okay, we made a mistake. Time to move on. It's done. You have to cut your losses and move on. Yep. The Josh McDaniels experience is it's not going to work. It's done. You had Rich Bisaccia, he had the whole team galvanized, and it was this inspiring moment and season for them to go out and make the playoffs despite all that happened with them. And now they just seem dull. Like the Raiders don't feel like they're playing inspired. They're just there. And I get that they have injury problems with Darren Waller and whatnot, but they just don't seem like they have the heart like they did last year. And I think that's mainly because of coaching.
Jerm, you went through John Gruden, you went through Henry Ruggs, another player getting put off the team, and yet somehow that team without Davante Adams and Chandler Jones made the playoffs, and this team is 2-7. What happened?
Exactly the sentiments that were already expressed. You know, Davante Adams came out with a quote and said a lot of guys still haven't bought in. Like that reason is enough that Josh McDaniels should be fired. It's not that they're losing. If you're 2-7, but the team is buying in and maybe just some of the X's and O's aren't working, or maybe some of the roster construction isn't quite there yet, then I can buy that. John Gruden didn't start off very hot. They got that 10-year contract, and the first 2 seasons were awful seasons for them. And then all of a sudden they became an AFC powerhouse. Like they were going in a good direction, and he self-sabotaged and derailed his own progress there with some of those emails that were coming out, and then that was it. Like, but the fact that Davante Adams today came out and said a lot of guys still haven't bought in, that's the reason. Josh McDaniels probably came in and threw his New England Patriots penis on the table and tried to force things and do things the Belichick way, and it doesn't work that way. That type of stuff happens organically. You have to be your own person. It's not a coincidence that these Belichick disciples go off and fail. You know why? Because they try to bring the Patriot way to the new place, and it just doesn't work that way. The New England Patriots are an outlier. They're not a rule. And when you do things, you can't, and that's how the saying is, you can't make rules out of outliers. The Patriots are a unique circumstance. There was a lot of things that made that thing work. You can't just replicate it. It's not like a recipe. You can't just copy the instructions and come out the same exact way. And that's why it's not going to work. And it's a shame, because Derek Carr is clearly talented. Davante Adams is clearly talented. Darren Waller, Josh Jacobs, they have talented players. So when you have the talent around you, it has to be coaching when you fail this miserably.
I'm not going to pretend to know. All I will say, to be fair, they've had injuries. Darren Waller is done for the season, I think. So too is Hunter Renfrow. So you've had injuries there. But sorry about that, dude. But there can't be an excuse. You had Davante Adams, you had Chandler Jones, who's only had a half a sack for the entire 10 game or 9 games that you've played so far. As I said, you didn't have to go through John Gruden's emails. You didn't have to go through Henry Ruggs killing somebody. Like, you should not be this bad. You should not be last in takeaways, among the bottom in turnover differential. You shouldn't be a bottom 5 in scoring defense. You should not be this bad. And all I'll say is the biggest change came in the head coaching ranks, but Josh McDaniels is not a guy that I believe deserves an opportunity in the NFL. So, guys, quickly, as we try to get over here, Adam, I'll start with you. Who wins tonight? Keep it short, keep it sweet.
Yeah, Eagles, man. I'm not going to give a score prediction, but Eagles.
Same thing, Peyton.
Eagles.
I'm guessing that Jerm, we're going to make this an Eagles sweep.
The last Pennsylvania team to go undefeated in prime time was the Pittsburgh Steelers in 2020. And their undefeated streak was broken by the Washington football team. So tonight, history repeats itself when the Senator, Taylor Heineke, with Jahan Dotson finally making his return, with scary Terry McLaurin and Curtis. Oh my God, he used to be a Panther Samuel. Go into Lincoln Financial Field and upset the Philadelphia Eagles tonight, 21-17.
I thought about taking the upset, but I don't outthink the rim. I don't want to be a Sean Payton.
It's like plus 430. Like it's not good, but that's how I'm rolling.
My mom taught me never to trust a man that you can't see his eyes or face. That guy has shades and a scarf over his face. He's coming to rob somebody. So, yeah, you're not robbing my money. The Eagles by 2 scores. Gentlemen, the guy that's masked, he is indeed one half of Stuff About Sports. Plug yourself as we make our way out of here, Jerm.
Now, I will say the last time I was on this show, I made a prediction about the Bills and the Chiefs, and you guys laughed at me. And what happened? The Bills came and scraped them. So don't laugh at me now. But I am Jerm, one half of Stuff About Sports from the Give Us a Shot Network, and you can catch us if you hashtag Stuff About Sports in your Googles, the Give Us a Shot Network YouTube page, at Stuff About Sports on Instagram. And if you can't find us, you're not looking hard enough.
One of my favorite follows across all social medias. Same thing with Peyton Doyle too. So tell the folks how to find you.
Yeah, you can find me on Instagram and TikTok at PD Sports. Same thing with Twitter as well. Really, all I've been doing is I've been hosting this live show every Thursday with a good friend of ours, Dwayne Marcus, called The Rundown with Peyton and Marcus. It's on my YouTube channel. You can find it at PD Sports.
One of the best shows around to watch. Adam, I promise the people I'll bring you every week. You're here every week.
Yeah, man.
They know how to find you, but what you got going on?
Yeah, man, absolutely. So obviously I'm back on here with Justin. Y'all have seen me on Petty Sports and What Off Season. Oh, actually, y'all have seen me on both of these shows before. Kind of a thing in my past, but we're still in the sports podcasting game. But we are also a real estate agent now in Georgia, all over Georgia. Really, I only sell in Georgia, but I can help people all over the world if you know somebody. Buy and sell with AJL on all platforms, YouTube, Facebook, Instagram, TikTok. And like Jerm says, if you can't find me, you're not looking hard enough. I always look forward to the show. Jerm, Peyton, y'all are absolutely great. Love y'all's content. And Justin, thanks for always having a spot for me, dude. It's a great show. I needed it.
Always have a spot. And y'all thought they only know about sports. You see, you got a real estate agent in here. But if you do put that hashtag before this Justin, you don't want Matt Skellerman, you want us. Hashtag this Justin, the original hashtag this Justin every Monday night. Well, not for the past 2 weeks, but every Monday night going forward. Hashtag this Justin on YouTube, 7 p.m. Eastern, 6 p.m. Central. For short form content, you can reach us on Facebook, on Instagram, and on Twitter. Same hashtag this Justin. Put in that hashtag. You want us, you don't want Matt Skellerman. So for Adam, for the Masked Bandit, the president of Bills Mafia, and for Peyton, I am indeed Justin of hashtag this Justin signing out. See you in 1 week.
Sean Payton to the Bills.
I know that after tonight, you don't have to look up at the stars. No. I
Come take a look at my dream world.
Tonight, you don't have to look up at the stars.
Chat. If you wanna come get it, then come for it. I'm so clean, my kick's nice, I'm Chuck Norris. Minute made to be bounce, had to jump on it. Run for it,